I'm in Boston right now. I actually got here 2 days ago, but this is honestly the worst time to be traveling because of the whole coronavirus situation. Everything here is shut down, the numbers are increasing at such a crazy rate. Today is actually my last day here, hopefully, because I had a return flight for day after tomorrow booked, but that got cancelled. Then last night I booked a flight for today, which got cancelled as well. Now I'm trying to get a flight for tomorrow. Hopefully that will work out. Hey guys, it's Kritika. Welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well. As some of you may know, I've been traveling in the US for the past 3 weeks or so, and I'm back home now. I got home 3-4 days ago, I think, and I just thought I will come on here and share a quick update with you guys about what's been up because the past couple of weeks have been pretty crazy. But before I start, I just hope everyone watching this video is self-quarantining at home right now. I know it doesn't seem that bad in India because the numbers aren't too high and I don't see a lot of people taking this seriously, but if you look at the countries where the situation is really bad right now, it also started this way, and in just a span of a couple of weeks, things have gotten really bad in those countries. So the next couple of weeks I think are going to be really crucial. This virus is spreading like wildfire, so it is super important for all of us to stay at home as much as possible. And I know some of you don't have the option of working from home, but I really hope everyone is staying at home as much as possible. If you really have to go out, maintain a 6 feet distance from people. I think that's what's being recommended. And I really don't have to be saying this right now because it's so obvious, but because I make travel videos, I feel like I should just put it out there that you really shouldn't be traveling right now. This is a bad time to be traveling, and please don't make any travel plans for the next I don't know how long this is going to take, but until things get better, I don't think it's a good idea to be traveling, not just abroad, but within India as well. This is the time for all of us to be taking social distancing seriously, and I don't want to sound preachy, but I really hope all of you are actually following it. And I get that this can make all of us anxious. That's what reading about this virus has been doing to me as well, but please only stick to reliable sources of information. I don't think panicking is going to accomplish anything, so take precautions, but there is no need to panic. But anyway, I'm back in India right now. I got home 3 days ago, and as you can see, I'm back in Vellore right now in my room, and the journey back was pretty stressful. There was screening and stuff at the airport, but we weren't really asked to quarantine. But I'm obviously doing that for the next couple of weeks because the virus takes 2 weeks at least to show its symptoms, I think. So yeah, I'm pretty much just staying home. In fact, I'm just staying in my room because I have my parents and my grandparents living here, and I really don't want to be giving anything to them. So I'm just staying locked up in my room as much as possible, and I haven't left home since I got here. I really didn't want to be coming home, to be honest, but my brother got back to India with me as well. He studies in the US and his school got cancelled. He has online classes now, and since he's studying music, he had to be back home because this is where all his instruments and stuff are. So since he was coming home, I figured I'd come home as well. But Vikram and I are both quarantining and we're taking all the necessary precautions. I really wanted to get myself tested, but I think there are very limited kits right now. I've been reading that you're only eligible to be tested if you're showing any symptoms, which I'm not at the moment, so I don't think I can get myself tested. But yeah, I'm planning to self-quarantine for the next 2 weeks. Anyway, this video is just going to be a rant. I'm going to talk to you about the past 3 weeks, what's been up, and just fill you guys in on what's been happening. So I actually went to the US for work with Vistara, and it was such an incredible work trip. You will see videos of that soon. But my work was only for about 4 days and it was in Seattle. So once my work was done, I decided to extend my trip and stay in Seattle for a bit longer because my cousin lives there. So I wanted to spend time with them, and I'd also never been to Seattle before, so I thought I'll explore the city. Then I went to New York City to meet my best friend. This was my second time in New York City, so I didn't really end up doing that many touristy things, but I had a really nice time there. And finally I went to Boston to meet my brother because he's studying there now. So when I was in Seattle, that's kind of when the first coronavirus death took place. I remember when I went to the US, coronavirus wasn't really that prevalent in the West. It was mostly in China and a few other Southeast Asian countries. So I remember when I got to US at immigration, they asked me if I'd traveled to China or Japan in the past 5-6 months. So that was what the situation was like then. The US still had a few cases, but I think there were under 10 cases then. So it wasn't really a problem to be traveling to the US. I was, of course, scared of the whole airport experience, but I had taken precautions. I carried masks and sanitizers and stuff, so I was sort of fine at the airport. But yeah, that's what it was like then. And the first coronavirus death happened sometime while I was in Seattle, and it happened in Seattle. It actually happened in Kirkland, and I was staying in Bellevue, but all of these places are like very close to each other, so that was really scary. And then I remember the numbers going from 30 to 60 to 100, and there were like 10 deaths, I think, in that week. And yeah, it was really scary to be in the midst of all of that. I remember Amazon employees were asked to work from home for the rest of the month. My cousin and her husband work at Amazon, so they were working from home, and because of all of that, it just seemed really serious. But then I went to New York City, and though the numbers had gone up, everything seemed normal there, and no one was really taking it seriously, because I think most cases then were in Washington state, and New York wasn't as affected, so everyone was out and about, and things seemed pretty normal there. But later that week, I think all the test results were coming in, and they realized that the numbers were higher than expected. So all schools in the country were shut down for the rest of the semester. Touristy places were closed, all museums, Broadway was shut down, everything was closed, and that's when it really started to feel serious. So at this point, I would have ideally liked to have just booked my return ticket and go back home and cancel the rest of my trip. But like I said, my brother studied in the US and his school got cancelled, and he was asked to vacate his dorm. So since I was going to Boston next, I thought I will just go and help him vacate his dorm, and like we can both fly back to India together after that. So towards the start of my trip in New York City, everything seemed normal, but by the end, everything was deserted. I remember going to Times Square, and I'd never imagined Times Square being that empty. So yeah, it was just a really weird feeling. I remember checking updates every day about like what the numbers were, and it was starting to make me very anxious. So anyway, I get to Boston, and by this time everything is pretty much shut. I was mostly either in my hotel room or in my brother's dorm room helping him pack up and stuff. On my last day there, I think all restaurants were asked to stop in-restaurant dining as well. Only takeaway was allowed, so everything was closed, no people outside. Now 2 days before I had to get back to India, my return flight got cancelled, and that is when I started to panic. So immediately I started looking for other flight options back, and I decided to like prepone my tickets as well by a couple of days. And I managed to book this other Turkish Airlines flight, but literally 2 hours after I booked that flight, they announced in India that all flights from Turkey and a few other countries will not be allowed to take off. So that got cancelled as well, and it was just such a stressful time. I had also been reading about how people traveling from abroad were being quarantined in India, and I was mentally prepared for that, but still it's kind of a scary thing to think about. And when you're in another country traveling in the midst of COVID-19 being declared as a pandemic, it is just not the easiest thing to deal with. But finally we managed to get a flight back. We got a direct flight, a United Airlines flight back to India from New York City. So we traveled from Boston to New York City, to Mumbai, and then to Chennai from there, and then to Vellore. So it was a really long journey. I think the whole thing took about 30 hours. So it was really stressful, and I remember being super anxious throughout the flight back because we really had no idea what was going to happen once we got here. A flight is from Boston to New York and then New York to Mumbai. So hopefully it'll be on time. The boarding has happened, so that's a good sign. The flight hasn't been cancelled yet, thankfully. I'd been reading all kinds of things like people were being quarantined in all these facilities which aren't really the cleanest, and I heard that people were being stamped at the Mumbai airport to like self-quarantine and stuff, which I think is a good thing actually, because I feel like everyone who's traveled from abroad should definitely be self-quarantining. But yeah, I was just praying my flight doesn't get cancelled, and I was just hoping I somehow get back to India, because I'd been hearing rumors that flights from abroad were going to be banned, and it sort of happened now, so I'm glad I got back home in time. So when we reached Mumbai, here's what happened. On the flight, actually, they gave us a declaration form which we had to fill and submit at immigration. So the form had all details like your age, your name, your address, the countries and the cities you travel to, your contact details, basically everything. So you had to declare that at immigration. Then once we landed, there was a long line to first go and get yourself screened, where basically they were checking if you have a fever or not. If you have a fever, they were stamping your hand and asking you to self-quarantine. Vikram and I didn't have a fever, so we were just allowed to go on to immigration, and that was another really long line. I think the whole process took about 3 hours, which honestly isn't that bad given the circumstances. It could have been a lot worse, but yeah, at immigration they didn't really ask me anything. I was really expecting them to say that we will have to quarantine, which they didn't, so I was a bit surprised by that. But throughout the whole waiting, they had a lot of posters and stuff where they were asking people to self-quarantine and like a lot of coronavirus related stuff. So I hope people actually read that, and I hope people who've traveled abroad are quarantining themselves. They actually had a separate line at immigration for people who were traveling from COVID-19 affected countries, and the US is obviously one of them, so we had to stand in that COVID-19 line. For all the other countries, immigration was really fast and smooth. They had a separate line. But I really can't appreciate the people working at the airport enough. In fact, a lot of people who are working right now are doctors, nurses, pilots, people at the airport, at the grocery stores, cab drivers, food delivery people. I know a lot of people don't have the option of working from home, and it is honestly so commendable. We should all be grateful for their services. But anyway, after clearing immigration, we were just asked to go, and I had a domestic flight from Mumbai to Chennai, and over there they also checked our temperatures again. I honestly haven't seen Mumbai airport this empty ever. It was so empty. There were no lines anywhere. My flight back had like 15 people on it, I think. And I think that's a good sign, because people shouldn't really be traveling at this point unless they really have to. And in my case, I mean, I really had to come, but I don't think this is the time for non-essential travel, and it's good to see that people are actually following that right now. This virus is honestly spreading at such a crazy pace. When I left the US, I think the US had about 7,000 cases, and today I checked and they have 19,000 cases, which is so crazy to think about. So it is honestly spreading like wildfire, and we really can't be cautious enough. We should be taking all kinds of precautions. The last couple of weeks have honestly been really hard to process, because it's really difficult being in a different country when a pandemic has been declared and your flights back keep getting cancelled and you don't know if you're going to be able to get back home. So it has definitely been stressful, and I know as of today India has fewer than 200 cases, but they haven't really tested enough, so we don't really know what the real numbers are, which is why I hope all of you are taking this seriously. I'm sure none of us imagined ever experiencing a pandemic in our lifetime, but it's happening and it's serious, and self-quarantining is the need of the hour. I know there's a Janta curfew and I hope everyone's following that, but that doesn't mean on Monday we can just go on and do whatever we want. I feel like for the next couple of weeks at least, we all should be staying at home as much as possible. I honestly feel like, considering how fast it's spreading, this is going to take more than just a couple of weeks, but at least for the next couple of weeks, let's see how things progress in India. And please practice social distancing. I'm just trying to think of it positively and think of all the things I can do while I'm at home. I always keep complaining about how I'm constantly traveling, so I don't have time to edit. So hopefully I'm just going to sit and edit all my videos now. I'm going to try and post all my US vlogs starting next week, and I also want to film a lot of other home related content, because I've been wanting to do that for a while, but like I said, because I keep traveling, that doesn't end up happening. So yeah, I'm just trying to make the most of it and looking at self-quarantine in a positive way, because we all have to do it anyway, so might as well look at it positively. There's actually so much you can do at home if you think about it. A lot of people are working from home, so I'm sure that's keeping you occupied. You can spend time with family, exercise, read books, watch Netflix. Yeah, if you think about it, there's a lot you can do, and hopefully the situation will improve soon. Also, I just want to put a disclaimer out there that just because I'm posting travel vlogs, I hope you don't think that to mean that it's okay to travel. None of us should be traveling right now, and hopefully you can travel vicariously through my videos. I know that's what I'm going to be doing. So until it's safe, we should all just be home, no travel plans. And if you have any other video recommendations for me, since I'm home right now, I can take your video requests. So just leave them in the comments below. I'm honestly so relieved and happy to be back home right now. Although I'm not really interacting with my family much, it feels really good to be back. Also, I feel like this whole COVID-19 situation is affecting a lot of industries. I'm sure I'm going to be affected by it as well. But small businesses and low-wage workers are going to take a big hit. So as much as possible, try to support small businesses. Support your domestic help. Tip Uber drivers and food delivery people. Just help people out as much as possible, because we're going through some tough times and we all need to be there for each other. So do your share, do whatever you can to help these people out. And I'm just gonna end this video right now. This has been a super long and chatty video, but I just wanted to fill you guys in on what's been up. I will start posting videos regularly next week onwards, so I will see you guys then. Until then, stay safe, wash your hands for 20 seconds at least, hydrate, use a sanitizer, stay at home, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!